We dance. It does something to our spirit. It makes us feel good. And to wear our ancestral at'u brings us strength and pride in our people, of our ancestors.
My mom and my dad made them, and they're beautiful.
This is a spiritual practice for women. When you raise up the spiritual practice of a woman, you raise up the level of harmonious existence.
Working on this canoe by making artwork and studying that and diving into that and actively engaging it has become the best way to feel some ownership towards it and I guess belonging to it.
There is a spirit in everything, our elders say. As I was taught by the late elder Cyril George, Katkau the Kakwe clan. The spirit, the consciousness in all things, is in the land, in the waterways, and in our Tlingit art. We inherited this knowledge from our ancestors, and their gifts, their wisdom and spirit always nourish us. For countless generations, our people have refined a special kind of art, an art of captivating, deeply intimate, yet magisterial carvings, weavings, beadwork, and paintings, which represent sacred ancestral crests and histories of our clans. This tradition was maintained by masters who passed on their skills to apprentices who assisted and studied for many years until the day they could become masters themselves. While our people have gone through many changes, that lineage of master and learner continues to this day. Let's spend some time with a few of the families and artistic lineages whose works are present and of today, yet they'd make their ancestors proud, and their stories speak to the future. The art tradition was largely created for the ku'ik, the potlatch. Beautiful events of songs, dancing, great feasting, and gift-giving. At turns deeply solemn and hugely joyful. They would make at'u, which is literally translated as an owned or purchased thing. They would feast and share their wealth with their clan opposites, so they'd have the privilege to bring out their at'u, their sacred objects. Here's my uncle, Paul Marks, Kin Kadunik of the Thukachadi clan. Though he's not related to me, because he teaches me so much, I call him my uncle.
For ku'ik, these could be for house dedication, totem pole raising, a keen, maybe even for a headdress or a hat, depending on how important they want to make it.
Jennie Thlunaut, Shaksani Keek of the Kagwantan clan, was known as the last master weaver of the Nachain, the Chilkat blanket, an immensely valued and incredibly intricate art form that comes alive at the ku'ik when it is shown and vibrantly danced in. Jennie also showed young weavers how to respectfully share their arts with the wider world, even as they continued to create robes for the community. Shortly before her passing in the 1980s, she taught an important workshop for young Tlingit women. Clarissa Rizal of the Tagaban clan was one of her students, and she went on to apprentice for 6 weeks with a master. Clarissa became a well-known weaver herself, taking on many students, including her daughter Lily Hope, Dauenhauer. Lily is now weaving a commissioned robe for the Portland Art Museum. She's also my wife, and we're raising 4 children together.
But it took me 30 years of weaving before one day it just happened. I was working on the robe and I realized that everything was easy. Oh yeah, I didn't have to figure it out like, oh, how do I do that? Do I connect this? There was none of that. It was just like, oh yeah, okay. There was no guessing, no estimating, no real thought about or thinking. It was a knowing. I would have the cloths about it takes up about this much of it at least.
Right. Wait, this much?
About this much. Right?
How many is that in your hand? Count it. 2,
I don't know.
6.
See, that
10,
is a filler.
12,
That's a filler.
14,
So
16,
you want to make sure that the claws are prominent, right?
Working on this robe for the museum, how many times can I dance it before it goes where it needs to live? And maybe having a send-off in Juneau. Weaving it in public is one thing, but bringing it out in public is another thing.
Hey! How's it going? Yeah. Yeah, Mommy's gonna weave.
Oh my goodness, all of you guys are here? Well,
So
Okay.
what you want to do is, this is the Jennie turn, right? So if this is the one you want it to spiral around, you're going to take the weaver who's way over there and take him to the back. But then he's going to spiral all the way, he's going to come all the way around the warp edge. So that guy who would have continued that direction came all the way around. And then he's also going to be the one who drops in. So you can see that it's going to continue the spiral that way, if we do that,
Oh, okay.
right? So then that one goes
Like
up.
it's braiding still, but then it
like
drops down.
Right, but then it drops down. Because then once you turn that corner, that is going to be one tight little corner.
Currently, I am working on shellcat leggings. This will be one of 2. I still have to spin the warp for the other side of it. Well, what's going to go into here is a frog design. And at the bottom of it will be a Nagoon berry. And so this is kind of a study piece in that, my dream is to weave a full-size robe at some point. And in the meantime, I hope to kind of capture that image in smaller pieces until I get to the point where I feel comfortable weaving.
My real passion in the culture is music, the Tlingit songs. So, without a drum, I'll sing it. While I'm weaving, it goes, hoo ha ya ha na hoo hey hey ya ya.
If this is a straight line down, you want to tie the two of them, tie the 2 together so that you don't even have to look at it. Like it'll, when you try to separate them, you'll go, oh no, my braid's right here.
Okay.
So you want to go find your straight parts.
Jesu hatlatsin yes qsatiqa hat u. Chuya natin nuchqa gaggi hasta qaswu gut nuchqa. Ya hatlilko has hatulyehin hat u haku chan chagudat chashikiat chahatach dasa aduse awo uunga hutso atutsatiga duj kayakego ichewo ya ye hatundetanik satiga achkawe dak owo gut gagiga.
Our art and regalia come alive at the Kluik. It is like the ancestors join with us. One of my ancestors, my great-aunt Ellen Hope Hayes, respected elder of the Kiksadi clan of Sitka, talked about how our clan used to gather in commemoration of the battle with the Russians and to reaffirm their land and history. She talked about the great love and joy the people had when they gathered, shared food, and danced. She longed for that gathering to happen again. So, I worked with my relatives in our clan house to renew this commemoration.
Good to see you.
Yeah,
Oh my
yes,
gosh,
great
it's
job.
been years.
Yeah.
Well, usually at some event, right?
In Sitka, I visited with Master Weaver Terry Rothkar, weaver of the Yesh Kuwu, the raven's tail blanket style, and of spruce root basketry.
Skuwu Tlaw is my Tlingit name,
Okay.
and that I am a raven, Dukdain Tan, and it's Toxhit. So I am from the snail house. So the wool weaving is what I'm known for, but I actually do the basketry as well. These are some spruce root baskets. I'm working on a rattle top right now. I wanted to add some of the vintage roots and the new roots, because in the museums, all you see are these dark roots because the tannins have discolored them with age. But this technique of the weaving, the 2-strand and 3-strand twining, it's identical to the wool weaving that we do with the robes.
Really?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
So when I weave, I'm actually starting on the left-hand side, and I'm twining all the way across. And where these look like they've been sort of embroidered because they have a lift to them, it's actually that 3-strand technique that we use at the edge of a basket. So one of the things that I found out in my travels, I had to show you these because this one is my alpha. Oh my gosh, when did I make it? Maybe 91, 92.
So your first one?
Yeah, this is my first robe. Yeah, it's the red tide robe. Has cockle shell designs and red at random because it's about paralytic shellfish poisoning. And I used a design that's affiliated with Aleutic baskets because it was those Aleuts that died just north of town from paralytic shellfish poisoning. So I wanted to recognize those. I know when I was a kid, we were never allowed to eat mussels. I don't know about you guys, but we weren't allowed to.
We had to be real careful.
Yeah, no mussels. And Grandma said it was because of that poisoning. So there's kind of even some in the waves as they lap up against the beach here on the side border. But again, woven like a big basket. There's no tension on the warps. It just hangs loose and I twine it across. If it was a basket, I'd just continually weave. But because it's flat, I have to tie a knot on this side and then start on the next side. So this doesn't go back and forth like chilkat weaving. So it's quite different that way. But because of that, they would be defined as baskets in wool. And they hold people.
I'm not talking bad about Jerrod at all.
If I had anything bad to say, it'd be Nick.
Jerrod and Nick Galanin, Shreina and Yeslatsin of the Tlingit clan, are brothers who are distinguished in several art forms. They come from a family of many artists, including their great-grandfather, George Benson, Shreina of the Tlingit, a lead carver for the Civilian Conservation Corps, who carved many fine totem poles in the 1930s, which still stand in the Sitka National Historical Park.
My great-grandfather, George Benson, designed the canoe at the Centennial Building.
Yeah.
In, I believe, 1967, 68 is when that canoe was created.
Wow.
Yeah, and so that was about 50 years ago. 20 years ago, my uncle Will Burkhart did the last one that was made here, actually made here on the premises back there.
Wow.
And now here I am,
Yeah.
the third canoe to come out of Sitka. I'm a part of.
It's an honor. It's definitely an honor, you know, just to get to be on board with a project like this and to have the connections that the canoe is culturally to us, connected to the land and the waterways. You know, Jerrod and I are always out subsisting, and this is just one more facet into that.
Nick, by the way, is a musician whose songs you can hear throughout this film.
I left my home alive, and I let the roses die. I let the roses die. Loving you, and I'll stand tall on 2 feet when I sing in the streets. It's the stones I throw when the moon it shines.
I like the...
From another world.
Ricky Tagaban, Tlingit of the Tlingit clan, belongs to the lineage of Chilkat weavers. Like Lily, he was taught by Clarissa Rizal. He was commissioned by Mary Folletti, Jennie of the Kagwantan clan, to make a robe for Mary's young daughter, Enza.
Usually my work is more distributive, so it's a little bit more abstract, but this is figurative. So I really wanted to do their house crest justice. And I started this 3 years ago, and I would go months where I was too scared to even look at it. And Lily's been the most influential person for me to finish. Twice in the past month, I would say, I have no idea what to do. And she'd get markers and just draw something. She'd say, try this. And it was what I wanted, but I didn't know I wanted. And she would just lay it out, and then it worked better than I could have imagined.
He was saying, gee, Lily, don't you feel kind of weird about your piece going into a museum? Because the one he was finishing was going to have such a long life because it's small enough for the child to wear now as a baby robe, and it's big enough for her mom to wear as an apron, or for the girl to wear as an apron as she grows. And he didn't quite ask it exactly like that, but it was enough. He brought it up in relationship to a tourist who asked, what do you do with these things? Are these, you throw them on your bed, or what do you do? And we said, well, we like to make them for ceremony. And him bringing that up, that the piece he was making or finishing up was going to this cultural experience, I was like, I'm gonna have to talk to this robe a lot about, you're a learning tool, you're gonna be studied by weavers and scholars and art historians and interested persons, and you'll come out into the light and breathe a lot and be part of this lineage and 4 weaver teachers and recorded history and all this. And that's helped a lot in not being so sad about where this one is going. Yeah.
Since I was little, I've known and cherished poet, scholar, and culture bearer Nora Marks Dauenhauer, and her late husband, Richard, who is also an extraordinary poet and scholar. I and countless others have learned an immense amount from them. I'm learning the culture, and I write poetry, so her guidance has a huge impact on me. Nora is also Paul's sister. They come from a family of artists, including their parents, master carver Willie Marks Kit Yana Yi, and master beadworker Emma Marks Se Qe. I had a chance to visit with Nora at her house on Marks Trail in Douglas, and she shared her thoughts on Tlingit art and culture and brought out many of her family's beautiful treasures.
Wow.
My brother Alex
Okay.
made the pattern. Yet ako sa kay kay Queen.
Okay. Okay, ha.
Yeah.
Itlaakshe.
Aktachi itio
Okay.
hutia osine.
Okay.
She's saying that her mom, Emma Marks, did the beadwork for this.
Okay, ha.
I asked Nora to share a profound speech she transcribed and translated with Richard. A speech for the removal of grief by Jesse Dalton, Na Tla of the Dauenhauer clan in Huna. Na Tla's speech deeply affected Nora and Richard, and her words continue to nourish people around the world through the Dauenhauer's book, Ha Tu Nagu Yis, for healing our spirit, Tlingit oratory. As Nora said one time at a gathering of Native people, when talking about Dalton's beautiful speech, this is why we do our carving, why we do our beadwork.
Nata huna. Ishan dena gatada tu te wantu. Ach kalkos.
Awe.
Achishas. Chatek achishas. Katlishan den hada tu te wantu. Yawuid.
Yewe.
Acho ayach haskai ach. He ishas. Kachitach nitkach awu kaki kako awe.
Goodness cheesh.
You were cleaning. You dach kawadai a kachawe. Yaidad. Yanach yekas kawadikit. Ye ishas. Yanach yekas kawadikit.
Ho.
Oyadus gehas. You oa. Hastada achtuate. Achishkohas.
Goodness cheesh.
Yadahan atut shantukekli. Joya awa. Yishtanukukach. Ashaiach. Dayu tuchatank.
Goodness cheesh.
Achishas achkaskohas. Achatas. Yadu awa.
Creeks have a lot to do with, I believe it's the thing that still holds us together. It's something that's important to us. But I think if we get the true significance about a creek to each and every one of us, we'd all be much different with each other. Chat with the chat.
2 weeks before the Sitka party, I asked distinguished jeweler and carver Donald Gregory, Hinde of the Deshitan, to teach me and my friend Mike Hoyt to make the Tana, copper shields, which were and continue to be immensely valued all over the Northwest Coast.
Hey, how's it going? All right. Yeah. I got two of them.
You brought the most important part. So you're on your way to becoming a Tanaa maker?
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
All you're doing the first time, you're using it just like a pencil, like you're drawing.
Mm-hmm.
And so you just cut the line a little deeper and a little deeper until it's nice and deep. And you're just going straight down because you're going to V-cut both sides. You're going to go from one side, and then you're going to turn around and go the other side. So, and I'm going all the way to the end so that the end of the tool can hang out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll do the same thing on this end just to make sure.
We started by making a small copper necklace, which is a modern innovation, before going into crafting a traditional, thicker and larger Tanaa.
So then you can adjust it if you want to wear it as a choker, or you can wear it as a full-size necklace. And then the last thing you do for me is just line it. My very first one when I first started.
And what's today? Oh yeah,
14.
I set the pace, hey, running up and down,
Yeah.
Okay, at least it's cutting.
I'm sure there's a saw that you could use that works a lot better, but I haven't found it. It's just use nippers. And just in case I die sometime soon, hi Mom, I love you.
We don't waste no time. I can tell she's lying. Why you always crying? We alone. We alone. We alone.
But often it has been said that, amongst us, weavers of today, that the warp hanging down, it's kind of a spiritual veil between the worlds. That as we are weaving the energy between there and here. And maybe that's why Jennie, there were two things she stressed. Prayer. Always pray before you get on your weaving, before you weave for the day. And pray in the sense of you give thanks for what you've got. You're not asking for what you don't have. Oh, how come I don't have this? I want that. Please God, if I do 10 Hail Marys, will I have it? When I want it, how I want it, with who I want it with? It's not what it was. She said, you give thanks for what you've got. You give thanks for the fact that this weaving has come to you, that you have the capabilities of taking these materials and fashioning it into a second skin. That you have someone who's taken the time to teach you. That you have what you have, all of what you have in your life. You give thanks for what you've got.
And I always do that, but I always add, And I'm thankful my husband has flexible hours, and I'm thankful my kids are happy at home, and we have nannies, and our house is taken care of, and that my mother is in town, and whatever else is good, I always do that. And when I don't do that, oh, I screw up. Oh, I screw up.
It's true. Every robe that I've woven, I think that the weavers across the water, you know, weaving that one, I've done alone in the sense of I'm alone. And it was the first time that I was a part of a robe I, you know, mainly put together, that I actually had a ceremony. I actually got to go through the ceremony of honoring somebody and putting it on them. And it was a public thing. I've never done that before. And that was the 11th robe, okay? Every time I've taken a robe off the loom, and the very first time, it was devastating. It's equivalent to the feeling when your child leaves home.
So I'm nervous and excited about thinking about the party, because then I have to get the robe done. And then I feel like we have a good, you know, it's really good motivation. But the way Clarissa's talking about how emotional it is to take it off the loom, I think it'd be kind of fun. She said she's never cut one off the loom in the presence of people.
Never,
That
not
would be
once,
kind of interesting too.
ever, ever.
That could be part of the ceremony.
That's right. That's part of the ceremony. That's exactly part of the ceremony.
Latoya Bay.
Yes. How difficult it was to weave this one and to do it honor, because it's such a powerful place.
Yeah, I've never
so
been, but I
want to go myself.
Comes up a lot in
It does.
the stories, the history. With the first encounter with the Europeans, can you tell us a little bit of what you know about that?
Well, I do know that, and in fact, I've got the Europeans coming in their, again, it's very much a basket. Yeah. So if you had it on, we could see where the ships are coming in and then they go out again. But La Perouse was in there. It was like 1786, so just a couple years before the Russians came in and took all the robes to St. Petersburg. But he was in there, and when they were trying to get in, they were coming across the water, and of course, you know, they could see these mountains far off in the distance. And there was a little anxiousness to the sailors on board. This meant fresh meat. This meant they could get off the boat. They were going to get some good water. So they saw the mountains from like 30 leagues out, and they sailed, but they could find no harbor. They sailed for like 3 days back and forth in front of that big edge where there were glaciers and mountains, but they found no harbor. They finally spotted Latuya, but it was so tiny, that entrance. So they kept going back and forth, and they finally skirted inside and made a harbor and stayed there quite a while. But from the native perspective, they could see the white raven flying off in the distance. For days he flew out on the ocean. And finally the white raven, he flew right into Latuya Bay. And they could see the people, but they didn't know if it was people or not. They used, I think somewhere in the file I have some Yana 8 stalks, because they didn't want to be bewitched by this white raven that flew in. And it stayed there. One old man had presented himself, and they did some trading. I think that's where it comes in, where these people that were out there drank blood. They offered him wine, and they ate maggots. He was eating rice, you know. So there were some great stories there. So yeah, I don't know if that was it. It is my history. Yes, it is. Sure.
All right. Okay, leave that open. Let's see what we've got here. Look at this beauty.
Okay, let's get it packed up. Merino wool and then 100% wool, kind of like Scottish plaid. Beautiful. Just the idea is that these are like the old time parties. How blankets were stacked up, you know, they'd say it's stacked, taller than the person standing. There'd be 5 feet stacks of blankets, and then they put their clan hats on it, or they put children on it and sit on it. And it's like they would kill their wealth on it. And if they put the important children on it as a way to show, here's our precious child, and it's like we're putting all this wealth out for you to see this child, for you to recognize his or her name. And so look at all these. We're gonna give a lot of these away for the Sitka party.
I sit outside, swimming in the sea. She's swimming in the ocean, now she's swimming towards me. I sit outside, she's swimming in the sea.
Okay.
Swimming in that ocean,
There we
she's
go.
swimming towards me.
I should have turned this around. Chuck in.
Love you mine, that summertime. Love you mine.
Isilkiach tutli on. Gentle. That's isilko ha tutsa tiachkawe. Atakawe Gatain Ikostik Kotiadach. Yatwanin at years has Sawakaha, the Katat Yatwane Tlatki Asquani, Jadasa Dugu, Chuat Trai, Gatain at that Yitutan, Gatain at that Yitla at. Agawe yikuste kekecha. Yewersiku wasaha in ko klinik nuchka hatlis kohas.
Our formland is when you pay attention to the subtleties of it and the flow and the form and the positive and negative space, you can make it sing, you know? Literally just by a static piece of form there, vibrating with beauty and meaning. And that comes from understanding the relationship of those curves and those lines in that space. So, and I think a canoe definitely does the same in its form. As simple as it may appear, it's pretty complex. Don't be fooled by the simplicity of its lines and form.
Formline design is a thing, at least for me, I believe I'm going to be studying my whole life and will never be able to master. It's so subtle.
It's a continuum of participation in the ancient language, honestly.
Jerrod and Nick Galanin are also very accomplished in many art media, ranging from their canoe building apprenticeship with Steve Brown to exceptionally crafted jewelry to Nick's bold conceptual work.
I mean, the Haidas and the Tlingit, most Indigenous peoples in the world believe there's a spirit in everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, in the rocks, in the plants, in the fish for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And how is this any different? And if we are believing that the energy that we have while we're putting this together is staying in here, how can we not believe that this is a living thing?
Right. Yeah, the wool from every mountain goat or whatever animal it is, sheep, like that comes from something with a spirit, and that's part of the whole process.
Mm-hmm. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Clarissa was selected as a National Endowment for the Humanities Fellow in 2016, just like Jennie Thlunaut, who was awarded in 1986. Here she demonstrates aspects of weaving and culture at the awards ceremony in Washington, D.C.
And then what we do is, I have this spinning pad, and I made this for my daughters when they were little, because I started them when they were young. You have to get them before they hit puberty. And then what we do is, we'll take 2 strands of the prepared mountain goat wool or the prepared, merino wool. And after I've soaked the bark and after I've wet my pad for friction, then what we do is we press down and push forward so that both strands are twisting forward. And I'll show you how this is done. And then, this is our warp. And the warp is all the yarns that are hanging down, okay? We don't have time to show you how to spin the weft yarn, which is all the yarns that weave across the warp. And it takes about 1,000 yards of warp to create one full-size Chilkat robe. It's about 10 yards that I can spin on my thigh in 1 hour.
Wow.
I watch a lot of Netflix while I'm spinning.
Boom! Dang, man, this is... I wish I just had the old style cans, because every household, they had Spam, they had Tang, they had cans of mandarin oranges, and they had Pilot Bread. That's what they had. So, we're at least going to include a few of these, and when we do a fire dish in remembrance of these elders, it's like they'll be having the thing that they loved having at one time. And I might have to get all this Pilot Bread. Sure, maybe we'll do at least 1 or 2 of them, put in the bowls then. I'll put that right there for now. Orange marmalade. Okay, get at least 5 of them. That'll be enough, you don't need a... Well, sometimes it's fun to overdo it.
Well, you
I think Lucretia needs a couple. For sure.
Maxing out my money. Actually, I'm going over, but whatever. See? Look at that. Look at that. It's got the old feel to it. Old idea. That's the idea. 5. I'm going to get 5 of them. See? You just look at that and you got, wow, that's a feel of grandma. That's what you want at a party, you know? Alright. Okay, that's enough. Kawut Kuwakan, Aide. Ade. Skashken, Aide. Liz Howard, Aide. James Bradley, Aide. Aya Kaplunk, Aide. Like you really do your research. You know,
do.
And then there's the math and the science, and
Yes.
they all have and you really pay attention to how
It's really
the construction
important.
of things.
Yeah.
and-
Well, you know, for me, the mountain goat and this spruce roots, you know, this was cutting edge science 6,000 years ago. And so for today, what are we doing? You know, if I want Tlingit methodology, if I want our weaving to be relevant 6,000 years from now, how am I going to make that possible? It's very, it's very obvious now that I'm the one passing through the weaving, not the weaving in me. So the weaving's going to be going on without me. What am I adding to the bottom line? And now this one, with my cancer that I've got, now this one kind of reflects my own journey. You know, we're genetically targeting what I have and trying to get it stopped. It's pretty aggressive, so we'll see.
Yeah.
I am really trying to honor the journey. Yeah. So
This is a spiritual practice for women.
Yeah.
It really is. And when you raise up the spiritual practice of a woman, you raise up her emotional well-being, her physical well-being, her psychological well-being. When you strengthen the women in your community, it helps raise up the bar. It helps raise up the level of harmonious existence. And I'm not saying that all peace comes to the land. I'm just saying that when you begin with the basics of the woman who is learning this type of weaving, and it's a lifelong process, then it really does change her. I think of what I used to be like. I think of it changes this certain aspect of you, and you don't even realize it. It's a slow process. It's not an overnight process. You know, I could die at the end of this year. I could die tomorrow. I mean, any of us could die tomorrow. I'm not kidding.
I know.
I'm not kidding.
It is with deep sadness that I note that Clarissa Rizal passed away of illness shortly after the filming of this documentary.
This love is here.
It is also with tremendous sadness that I note that Terry Rothkar also passed away after our time with her. She had been courageously fighting her illness for a long time, and she had been well enough to talk with us.
I love that color. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's like rust.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, it's like dry fish. Yeah.
It's gonna go little in the woods.
Aegeus.
Okay.
Do you wanna unwrap it? What is it?
So
Wow.
it's big.
It's big.
Wow.
That's the backside. Don't look at that.
Oh, wow. Look at this. That's so wet. You can get that so wet.
Ovary.
Oh boy.
There's ovoids in there and ooh.
I see an ovoid right there.
Yeah, ovoids. We've been practicing.
It's not ovoids. It's
Gusto duchei. Duchei. You see kuga? Right?
See the
yeah. Sharp
That's how it do.
Yeah.
Do you want to try it on?
Oh, yeah. Uncle better.
A hund down a walk, the dane tin yahit, just touch way hit there. That's a tootsy way hit, hot ha kuste, ha sagu, ha kashi, ha hunki sagu, a tootsatin.
Oh, peekaboo baby. Peekaboo girl. Come around this way, come around this way. Come here, come here. You're gonna go this way, and then peek out this way. Peek up, mama. Where's the mama? Where's the mama? There you are. There you are.
My mother-in-law too, how much she wanted to do a ceremony when she was done with these robes, when it gets cut off the loom. Ka yadi aya, ka yadi yach aya. Hastutu yeyati, where atkasne'a. It's just like a child when it comes off that loom. The time that they spent with it, that's the way that Clarissa Rizal explained it. That's the way that she talked about it. It's just like a child. And something else that she said is that when we raise up our women, it raises up the bar. But that's what we're doing here today. We're raising up the work of our Tlingit women.
This is a good thing. Yewa got to ton mishkahas kohas ashpokao yahas to yejene. This is how our ancestors thought about the work that they were involved in, to lift up before the people. Nachin kutikicha. A Nachin blanket has been born, is created. Yewet to Kwatan, Yaha Yukatangi, Ushkin Kaktula Atra, Kasa to Ye, Ushkin Kaktula Art, Wasa, Atundatanik Satiya, Nachin Datra. Both us, the ravens and the eagles, talk amongst each other about the feeling we have about this Nachin. This is the way our ancestors were long ago.
I'm pretty excited to see how the resilience exhibit will come about in the next couple of years, bringing together this piece with my mother's last robe, or 2 robes ago, the one that the Portland Art Museum has, and then also the work from Jennie Thlunaut and George Benson. So, I guess I am a Chilkat weaver.
Ooh, hey.
spirit is alive in this work. And my fingers may have done the work here, and I may have prayed a lot and called on my mother a lot, even especially after she left. But we don't need to alter this. We don't need to mess with the spirit is alive.
We have our social and our spiritual balance that must be maintained. And it is only fitting that we eagles come forward to support you and to hold your hand.
Ms. Chish, it's good to see you smile.
Thank you.
It's an honor to be here. Witness this. Ms. Chish, Ms. Chish.
This project is supported in part by a grant from the Alaska Humanities Forum and the National Endowment for the Humanities. To watch this film again and for more on this project, go to 360north.org/lineage.